All right, ready to take the plunge. We're diving into Steve Burns' New Trader, Rich Trader.
Not the whole thing, just some choice excerpts.
But even those, it's like getting insider tips, straight from a Wall Street pro.
And the way Burns does it, it's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
He's got these two characters, New Trader and Rich Trader.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And you see their thought processes side by side.
So you can see what separates the winners from everyone else.
Exactly, like watching someone else make the classic mistake so you don't have to.
That's huge. That's one thing I always get tripped up on, wanting to see results, like now.
Oh, that instant gratification trap.
Totally. But this book, and trading in general, it's like the opposite, right? Patience is key.
The key, I'd say. And Burns nails this through Rich Trader.
How so?
He's all about consistent growth, not some get-rich-quick scheme.
Which is, let's be honest, what a lot of us newbies dream of.
Oh, for sure. New traders come in thinking they'll double their account in a month, 2 months, tops. But the pros, they get that real wealth. It's built over time.
So, slow and steady wins the race. It's like that tortoise and the hare thing.
More like compound interest, actually.
Yeah, explain that.
Small gains, consistently, over time, that's how fortunes are made.
But the market goes up and down, right? Doesn't that mess things up?
It does, but that's where managing those fluctuations comes in, your drawdowns.
Drawdowns.
Yeah, like how much your account dips before bouncing back. Minimizing those is crucial.
That makes sense. So it's not just about winning big, it's about not losing big either.
Exactly. Risk management is as important as picking the right stocks.
So this Rich Trader, does he give like specific tips on how to do that?
He does. But first, he hits on something even more fundamental. The mental game.
Ah, the psychology of trading. Everyone says that's huge, but no one really explains how.
This book does. One big thing Rich Trader stresses is treating trading like a business.
Not just like a hobby or a gamble.
Nope, a serious business. That means having a plan, managing your risk, and aiming for those consistent returns we talked about.
Makes sense. But how do you, I don't know, not freak out when the market's going crazy?
Ah, the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
New traders, they let that get to them big time.
Guilty as charged.
Fear, greed, they take over. But Rich Trader, he's all about removing those unknowns, the things that create anxiety.
Unknowns. Like, is the stock going up or down? That seems pretty unknown to me.
Sure, but you can create certainty elsewhere by having a solid trading plan.
What does that even look like, though?
It means knowing your entry point, where you buy, your exit point, where you sell.
Okay, so far so good.
Your stop loss, that's key.
Stop loss, that's the thing that, like, sells automatically if the stock tanks.
Exactly. And your profit target, how much you're aiming to make.
So all that's decided before you even buy the stock.
You got it. It's like having a roadmap, so you're not just reacting to every little market blip.
I'm seeing how that would calm the nerves a bit. But still, isn't it hard to, like, stick to the plan when things get real?
It is. It takes practice. But Rich Trader, he has a different view of losses.
Oh, how's that?
He doesn't see them as failures, more like just part of the game.
Easier said than done, right?
For sure. But the key is minimizing those losses, letting your winners run.
I've heard that before, but it's hard to know when to do what.
That's where the plan comes in. And those stop-loss orders, crucial for that.
Right, because they take the emotion out of it. It's not you panicking, it's the system.
Exactly. Like Rich Trader says, the key to winning in the market is to lose the least.
Huh, kind of counterintuitive, but I get it.
It's a long game, not about hitting home runs every time.
Okay, so we've got the mental game, the trading plan. What else separates the pros from us regular foes?
Risk management, huge topic.
Give me the Rich Trader version.
He nails it with two strategies, position sizing and diversification.
Lay it on.
Position sizing, that's how much money you put into each trade. Depends on your risk tolerance.
So someone who's like super cautious, they'd put in less.
Right. And diversification, that's spreading your bets across different assets so one bad apple doesn't ruin the bunch.
Makes sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Classic advice, but it holds true.
So we're managing risk, we're thinking long term. Anything else?
Patience. New traders, they're itching to jump on every hot stock tip.
Oh, the FOMO is real.
Rich Trader, though, he waits for the market to come to him.
What does that even mean?
He has clear buy signals based on his strategy, and he doesn't budge till he sees them.
So not just any random stock that's going up.
Nope. It's like shopping with a list. You avoid those impulse buys, only get what you need.
I like that analogy. Speaking of shopping lists, do you think this Rich Trader has one for learning too?
Oh, definitely. He's a huge advocate for continuous learning.
Which means?
Newbies, They read a couple books, think they've cracked the code.
I know a few people like that.
But rich trader, he's always studying, always adapting. The market's constantly changing. Got to keep up.
So no resting on your laurels, even if you have a few wins under your belt.
Nope. And one of his best tips is keeping a trading journal.
Are you serious? I always thought those were kind of, I don't know, old school.
They're gold mines where you spot those aha moments, those patterns you wouldn't see otherwise.
So it's not just writing down what you bought and sold, it's analyzing why you did it.
Exactly. Turning experience into knowledge. That's the key.
Wow. Okay, I'm starting to see the light here. We've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive.
Barely scratched the surface, really. There's still so much to unpack.
Well, I'm hooked. Let's keep going.
You got it. Stay tuned for part 2, where we get into the nitty-gritty of rich traders' strategies.
Can't wait. Okay, back from our new trader, Rich Trader. This book is seriously making me rethink how I approach the market.
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
Big time. All this talk about trend trading, it's like a whole different way of looking at things.
It is, and it's super effective when you get it right.
But how do you even know what the trend is? The market's all over the place.
That's where those charts come in, the technical analysis stuff.
Ugh, charts. They still kind of scare me.
I get it. But think of them like a language.
Okay.
Once you learn the basics, you can read what the market's trying to tell you.
So it's not about predicting the future, it's more like understanding the present.
Exactly. You're looking for those clues, those signals that tell you where the momentum is heading.
And Rich Trader, in the book, he's obviously a master at this,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing he talks about is support and resistance levels.
Now, I've heard those terms before, but can you explain it like I'm 5?
Think of it like a floor and a ceiling for the stock price.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Support, that's the floor. If the price keeps bouncing off that level, it might be a good time to buy.
And resistance, that's the ceiling, so sell signal.
You got it. It's like those levels are magnets pulling the price towards them.
So we can actually, like, anticipate where the market's going to go based on this.
To a certain extent, yeah. It's not foolproof, but it's a powerful tool.
It's almost like that ducks in the park analogy, but instead of just going with the flow.
You're figuring out where the river's heading next.
Exactly. Okay, so support, resistance. What other secrets does Rich Trader have up his sleeve?
He's big on moving averages.
I think I saw those on some charts once, lots of squiggly lines.
Basically, it's a way to smooth out the price fluctuations over time.
So you can see the big picture trend more clearly.
Yep. Let's say you have a 50-day moving average. That's the average closing price for the past 50 days.
Okay, starting to make sense.
And when that short-term average crosses above a long-term average, like a 200-day one,
That's a sign.
it could be a bullish signal, meaning the uptrend's gaining steam.
So it's like those two lines are having a conversation, and we got to listen in.
That's one way to put it. And there are tons of other indicators out there, too.
It's a whole rabbit hole, isn't it? But New Trader, in the book, he seems more focused on picking the right stocks, not just reading the charts.
Right. He's all about the next big thing, the next Tesla or Apple.
Which makes sense. That's what gets people excited.
For sure. But Rich Trader shows him that even with a great company.
You still got to time it right.
Yep. Fundamentals are important, but so is the technical picture.
So you might have a stock that's, destined for greatness, but if the market's not ready for it,
You could end up holding the bag for a while.
that's where the patience comes in, I guess. Speaking of patience, once you're in a trade, how do you know when to get out?
Ah, the million-dollar question. Literally.
I feel like I'm always second-guessing myself. Should I sell now? Should I wait? What if it goes higher?
Classic newbie dilemma. And it's all tied to our emotions.
Oh, those pesky emotions.
Rich Trader hammers this point home. He's all about having a clear exit strategy before you enter the trade.
So it's not just winging it.
Nope. You have to know your profit target. That's the price you're aiming to sell at.
Okay, makes sense.
And even more importantly, your stop loss level.
That's the automatic sell if things go south, right?
You got it. It protects you from those big losses that can wipe out your gains.
So it's like having a safety net. I'm starting to see the appeal.
It's peace of mind, too. Because once those orders are set, you don't have to constantly watch the market.
That's huge. But what about when you do hit that stop loss? How do you deal with the sting of losing?
That's tough, even for seasoned traders. But Rich Trader has a great perspective on it.
Oh, yeah. I'm all ears.
He says, a loss never bothers me after I take it. I forget it overnight. But being wrong, not taking the loss, that is what does damage to the pocketbook and to the soul.
Wow, that's deep.
It's about accepting that losses are part of the game.
Easier said than done, though, right?
Absolutely. But the key is to not let them control you. Learn from them, move on.
So it's not about avoiding losses altogether, it's more about managing them.
Exactly. That's where position sizing comes in again.
Right, how much you risk on each trade.
If you have a wider stop loss, meaning you're willing to let the stock drop further,
You put in less money to begin with.
makes sense, right? You're controlling your risk.
Okay, starting to click now.
Okay.
And diversification, that helps too, right? Not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Spread the risk, weather the storms.
This rich trader, he's full of wisdom, isn't he?
He really is. And he keeps reminding new trader that this isn't gambling, it's a business.
So treat it with respect, have a plan, be disciplined.
That's the recipe for success, according to Rich Trader.
And one thing I notice, he always asks new trader, what are you comfortable with?
Yeah, he really emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. It's about finding your style, what fits your personality, your risk tolerance.
So it's not just about copying what Rich Trader does, it's about understanding the principles and applying them to your own situation.
You got it. It's about self-discovery, really. Figuring out what works for you.
I like that. Makes it less intimidating knowing it's not just about following someone else's playbook.
And don't forget, Rich Trader acts as a mentor in the book.
True. That back and forth between him and new trader is really valuable.
Having someone to bounce ideas off of, someone to guide you, it can make a huge difference.
I've always found that helpful, even just having a friend who understands the market.
It takes the pressure off, right?
Yeah,
You can get a different perspective. Avoid making those emotional decisions.
totally. Okay, I feel like we've covered a ton in this part of the deep dive.
We're just getting warmed up. In the final part, we'll get even deeper into the psychology of trading.
The mind games, huh? I'm intrigued. Let's do it. Okay, final part of our new trader, rich trader deep dive. One thing that's really hitting me now is how much psychology plays into all this.
Oh yeah, that's massive.
Like we've been talking trends, charts, indicators, but it feels like there's this whole other layer, right? The psychology of the market itself.
It's like imagine trying to predict a flock of birds, how they'll move.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Each bird's doing its own thing, but somehow the whole flock moves together.
And that's the market. Millions of traders, each with their own motives, but somehow.
It acts as one, driven by fear, greed, hopes, all that human stuff.
Which Rich Trader kind of hints at in the book, right? He says, the market's always right and always tells its own story best.
It's like the market has a mind of its own almost.
So spooky. But if that's true, how do we, tap into that? How do we know what the market's thinking?
Rich Trader says, pay attention to the price action. Those subtle hints that often come before a big move.
Like what? Give me an example.
Breakouts from tight trading ranges, for one.
Okay, remind me what those are again.
It's when a stock's been stuck between a certain price range for a while,
Got it.
and then bam, it breaks out of that range, either up or down.
So that sudden movement, that's a sign of something bigger.
Could be. It's like the market was gathering energy, then released it all at once.
I like that analogy. And Volume Rich Trader talks about that too, right? Like how many shares are being traded?
Huge signal. If prices are going up, but on low volume, it might not be a real trend.
So it's like a weak signal.
Exactly. But if volume's high and price is moving, that's a strong indication something's up.
So it's not just what the market's doing, it's how it's doing it.
You got it. It's like feeling the market's pulse, sensing its energy.
Okay. This is all starting to feel a little less mystical and more practical.
That's the goal. And all this ties back to our psychology, too, as traders.
Because if we're emotional, we'll misinterpret what the market's saying.
Exactly. That's why having a plan and sticking to it is so crucial. Like Rich Trader says, let your system make the decisions, not your emotions.
Because our emotions, they lie, right? Especially
Right.
when it comes to money.
Big time. Fear and greed, they can really mess with your head.
And speaking of fear, one thing that always gets to me is losses. How does Rich Trader deal with those?
He has a pretty unique perspective. He says, if you are not losing, you are not trading.
Wait, so losing is inevitable.
Pretty much. It's part of the game. The key is managing those losses, not letting them wipe you out.
Which is where all that risk management stuff comes in, right?
Exactly. Stop loss orders, position sizing, all that helps you survive the inevitable dips.
And exit strategies. Having a plan for when to sell, even when you're winning.
Because greed can be just as dangerous as fear.
True. It's funny, this whole book, it's like Rich Trader's giving a master class in psychology, not just trading.
Totally. He's teaching new trader how to think, how to react, how to stay disciplined.
Which is probably why he's so successful, right? It's not just about knowing the technicals, it's about mastering your mind.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And those lessons, they apply to life way beyond the stock market.
That's what I love about these deep dives. We start with one topic and end up learning about ourselves in the process.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah.
Making decisions under pressure, dealing with risk, bouncing back from setbacks.
Well, this has been an incredible journey through News Trader, Rich Trader. I feel like I have a whole new toolbox now.
And hopefully a new perspective on how to approach the market and life in general.
Big time. So, for anyone listening, if you're even remotely curious about trading, do yourself a favor and check out this book.
It's a game changer, seriously.
It's like having a personal mentor guiding you through the ups and downs.
And remember, it's not just about the charts and the numbers. Pay attention to the psychology, both yours and the markets. That's where the real edge lies.
Words of wisdom. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a blast.
Anytime.